this is Mike speaking from IELTSAnswers.com. The purpose of this video is to introduce one of my books to you. It's available on my books link, and this book is about how to write Task 2 essays, which is something that's really important that you're able to do because the essays account for 2/3 of your writing score. Now, this book is available on my website in PDF version for download. There's a preview version if you don't want to buy it, if you want to just have a bit of a look at it, or you can buy it. It sells for $24.95, which could be a worthwhile investment when you consider the costs of taking and potentially retaking an IELTS exam. If you prefer to have a print version, that's available on Amazon.com. You could just search for IELTS Writing or under my name, Mike Watty, either one would work. Click on the enter and 1, 2, 3. You can see it's very popular. It's the listed third on Amazon.com due to its popularity. It's 5 stars. There is a Kindle edition. I don't strongly recommend that one so much. You're better off to get the PDF off my website. It's probably formatted just a little bit better, I think. Okay, you can buy it used even for $14.99. There you go. These are American prices, by the way, and if you're in another country, it could be slightly more expensive. If you're in Australia, where I am, they don't have Amazon there. You can buy it at overly inflated prices if you wanted to buy it and you're in Australia. Send me an email, mikewatty@hotmail.com or IELTS Answers on my website, and I actually have books. If you wanted that, I could supply that to you. I do have books for Task 1 that are also ranked very highly on Amazon.com. Okay, so back to my website, IELTSAnswers.com, books for IELTS. So let's have a look at this wonderful book and get a bit of an idea of what's inside. Well, the book is over 100 pages long, and well, it's good that it's not too long because you don't want to have to read too much, but it does go into a lot of detail. So I start off with an overview of what the exam is, a sample question, some of the mistakes that people often make, and then just a couple of ideas about how you can improve. Some general ideas there. Okay, after that I move on to talk about how writing tasks get graded, and this is important to understand because you want to know how your essay is going to be assessed and what sort of things the examiner is going to be looking out for when they're marking your essay. And then the next part is a comparison of the 3 main types of questions that get asked in the test. And really this is an important thing, and this is crucial to the whole way that I've structured this book. So I'm going to go into a bit of depth about this and explain how we can divide the essays into 3 types of questions. So I believe that there are the 3 types of essays, and whatever question you get in the exam in its current form, you can divide it into one of these 3 types. So what are these 3 types? Opinion essays, questions that ask things like what is your opinion, or do you agree or disagree, or to what extent do you agree or disagree, which means how much. So you not only need to say if you agree or disagree, but how much. Is it 100%? Is it totally? Or maybe it's strongly agree. So that's a difference between these ones and these 2. Do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Again, this is your opinion you've been asked for. These questions have your or you in them. In response, it's not only acceptable, but ideally you should use I in response to them. I believe, I think, which is sometimes something students are taught. They're taught you're not supposed to use first person I when writing essays. Well, this one you do because you're asked for your opinion. So you should be giving your opinion. Okay, so we've got opinion essays. Then we've got our both sides and opinion essays. Questions, this one doesn't actually ask for opinion, but you could still categorize it here, or actually I'd probably put it over here. It's another way to write that one. But let's look at this one. Discuss, so this is sort of classic both sides an opinion question. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages and give your own opinion. So these are words from the task. These are the question words from the task. Discuss both sides of this argument and then give your own opinion. Okay, so they're asked in quite similar ways. Both of these questions are asking you to discuss two sides of something, two sides of an argument, or the advantages and disadvantages, and give your own opinion. You could structure this one in the same way, or you could also shift it over to here. So over here we've got two question essay where there are actually two questions asked, and in most instances we're going to see 1, 2 question marks. So that's how we can easily distinguish this by 2 question marks in the task. So this one is different to the other 2 types of questions. We can see here, do you agree, but also what are some other solutions? So imagine this is all part of the same task. This essay needs to be responded to much differently than just do you agree or disagree. We've got to do 2 things. We've got to give our opinion, but then we've also got to give some other solutions. Okay, and actually these 2 should be together. Classic, what are the causes of the problem? What are some potential solutions? So causes and solutions, these should actually be together as part of the same task. Okay, so we've got 3 types of essays: opinion essays, both sides an opinion essays, 2 question essay. And what I've tried to do in this book is to show you how to deal with each of these types of questions. And I think this is crucial to you scoring well in the exam. Okay, so let's look at what I mean when I'm talking about an opinion essay. And I just went over the typical question words. And essentially, when you're being asked for your opinion, there's going to be the word your or you in there in most instances. When you're being asked for your opinion, it makes sense, or it's an opinion essay, it's going to have one of those words in it. So let's have a look at a sample task. And I always like to think of a task as being comprised of 2 main parts. We've got the topic, which is up here. Some people believe that the fast pace and stress of modern life is having a negative effect on families. So that's the topic. It's about pace and stress of modern life and negative effect on families. You can think of this as the topic or the statement. And then here's the words for the question. These are the question words. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So you need to give your opinion on this topic. And not only do you need to say whether you agree or disagree, you must say the extent, which is how much you agree. This is a crucial part. If you've been taking exams and not getting good scores, if you've been missing out this single word, you're not going to get a good score in your IELTS test. And that's why it's important sometimes to have a bit of a read of this ebook or other sources, other reliable sources, because there's a lot of simple mistakes that you can be making in your test. You might be quite a good writer, you might have grammatically correct sentences, but if you don't say the extent you agree or disagree, then that's going to pull down your score quite significantly. If you want to understand how significantly would failure to see that or respond to that word extent, let's have a look. The public descriptors for the writing exam, task response. Let's see what we have to do to get a 6. Addresses all parts of the task. Now, arguably, if you haven't said the extent, arguably you have not addressed all parts of the task. You may fall down to here. Level 5 addresses the task only partially. Okay, so you risk getting a 5. You might be lucky, you might get to 6, but let's have a look at 7. Addresses all parts of the task. Presents a clear position throughout the response. It's difficult to see you getting to a 7 without that word extent being responded to. And as I said, you may fall all the way down to here. Addresses the task only partially. You haven't responded to all the words in the task. So it's extremely important that you make sure that you get this right and respond to everything that you're asked to respond to. Okay, so just back to the table of contents, and then this can give you a bit of an idea of what sort of level explanation I give you about each of these three types of essays. If you want to see this a bit more in a bit more detail, my free preview of this book that you can download from my website, got a feeling it pretty much covers most of this for the first type of essay, and then if you want the other types of essays, then you've got to buy the ebook. But it's got most of this stuff in it. Okay, so we've seen the typical question words for this type of essay, like what is your opinion, or to what extent do you agree or disagree. Then I show you how to analyze the task. We can look at these in a bit more detail. How to plan your essay, step by step. How should you plan your essay? Step by step, how should you write your essay? Then I give you a model of an essay that I've written. Okay, and then some students, they like to have these templates of language that they can apply to structure their essay. So I've got a template for this type of essay, and then I've written another essay based on this template that you can use. Finally, I've got some additional questions in case you want to see some more questions for opinion essays, or you might like to write essays, and this gives you some questions that you can use. And then some common mistakes. So some certain errors just keep coming up and up, and if we've got time in this video, I will try and get to that section a little bit, because I think that's really important. If you can avoid some of these common mistakes, then it's mostly just about taking the risk, having less risk, less chance of something going wrong in the exam. Like I said about not responding to that word extent, just saying I agree, but not saying the extent, which is how much. Okay, so let's take a little bit more of a look at what I mean by some of these parts of the book. Okay, so let's come back to the sample question that we saw before, or sample task. The topic: some people believe that fast pace and stress of modern life is having a negative effect on families. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Okay, we want to analyze this question, and the first step really in the task analysis is to have a look at the topic. And one of the things that we've got to be careful of here is this word "and." So that means there's two things to this topic. We've got fast pace, and we've also got stress of modern life. So we've actually got two things that we need to respond to in the topic. We shouldn't just talk about one of these, or we run the risk that the examiner will feel we haven't covered all parts of the task, and essentially we wouldn't have. These are different. They're quite similar. Fast pace is similar to stress of modern life, but they're a little bit different. So whenever you're talking about down here, whenever you see this word "and," make sure you respond to both parts of it. It could be you have a body paragraph about this and a body paragraph about that. That could be an easy way to deal with this type of a topic. So there's essentially two elements of the topic that we must address. Okay, so that's the first part, is to have a look at the topic. And then the next step is to look at the question. And this time it's to what extent do you agree or disagree. So it's got you in it. It's asking for your opinion. And how much do you agree or disagree. So essentially I'm saying down here there's two requirements of this task. There were two requirements up here, fast pace and stress of modern life. We've got two requirements here. We need to state whether we agree or disagree, and we also need to say how much. Now, I strongly recommend that you respond to this in the introduction. Let the reader of your essay, who also happens to be the examiner, know right up front what your opinion is. It can eliminate a whole lot of problems, and it just makes your opinion clearer before the examiner starts reading what you've actually written or the reasons for it. Okay, planning your essay, very important. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Somebody said that. It's a famous quote, and I think it applies here. I would say most people taking the test don't make a plan, And you really should. It will save you time in the exam. It'll make sure that you are focused, fully focused on the topic and the question. So I've underlined the keywords here, and while we're doing that, we can also think of some ways to rephrase words. Fast pace can be rephrased as high speed. Stress, we can talk about pressure. Modern life, contemporary lifestyles. Negative effect, harmful influence on families, and we could say family life. Okay, so we can do that at the same time. This rephrasing is very useful because it can let us show the examiner our talent with vocabulary. It also helps you think about the topic and makes sure that you don't misstate the topic, which is one of the common problems that candidates make when they take the exam. So this is really step one in planning, that you underline keywords and then you try and think of some ways to rephrase them or synonyms for these words. Okay, so we do that, step one, and then step two, think about what kind of response we need to think about the question, the extent, agree or disagree. And then the next step is to brainstorm. I would say start by just planning what might be some reasons for each side, what might be some reasons to agree, what might be some reasons to disagree. Don't instantly just go with your own feeling or opinion. That sometimes is a bit of a mistake.